financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is painful. They are suing me. Good morning, Brian Small.
Good morning, Ken. Are they suing you like Perry Mason style? You've been served?
I refuse to answer. Good morning, Jeffrey Linden.
Good morning, Kenneth Gross. How are you this morning?
Thank you very much. Good morning, James.
I think it's going to be a great day today.
So when I see they are suing me,
Who's they?
I think my father would instantly say, who are they? Who is they? So who are they? They are the credit card companies, the auto finance companies, and the medical providers when it comes to consumers. Who else? Landlords.
Landlords,
Who else?
contractors.
How about suing on a commercial guarantee that you
Banks.
defaulted on?
Well, that's more commercial guarantee would be, I'd call that a business debt.
But it's still a debt.
All right, so
Somebody
what happened-
filed a lawsuit.
So you
Neighbors.
get
Loans
sued.
are suing you.
Neighbors.
You get sued. Yes.
Your tree's on my side of the... That's my fence. That's your fence.
Happens
Stop watering
all,
my lawn.
Happens all the time.
It does.
I think what's your opinion? Are neighbors getting along worse nowadays than before? It seems to me we're seeing a lot of property disputes.
We are seeing a lot of
in the court.
property
At least they're
disputes
getting along
right
better
now.
because they don't talk to each other.
Yeah, except
well-
they're just filing lawsuits against
Right.
each
But
other.
how many neighbors do you actually know? The one right next to you, not the one 5 doors down?
That's, well,
Yeah,
when
but
you're
the one
young,
5 doors down isn't suing you.
I think when you're young, you know your neighbors because everybody has
Has
kids.
kids, yeah.
When you get older, you kind of become more reclusive because your kids are gone. And other than, I basically wave to my neighbors, nod, wave.
Yeah.
Some of them I don't know their names.
No, I agree. We know the neighbors to the left. We know the neighbors to the right. I know a couple of the other neighbors across the street, and that's about it. I
mean, we just
wave
had
at everybody else.
New
But
neighbors moved in next to us, and they have 3 little kids, and it was and they're very nice, very nice couple, and it was actually went out to meet them and everything else, and it was kind of refreshing seeing, little kids like on the court.
But that is usually when somebody new moves in next to you, is usually when the neighbor disputes start to build.
Oh yeah, that often happens.
It's the new people
Because they
who
all of a
aren't
sudden they draw a
grandfathered into
new
the
line.
relationship. They
Yeah.
got a new survey. They draw a new line. They don't like that tree.
Yeah,
they don't like
those are cases we've seen a lot of
we
those.
see a lot of those.
Good
does
fences
happen.
make good neighbors.
that's
If they're on the right side of the line.
if the fence is built on the right side of the line, that's
We
right.
don't have fences in our sub. No fences are allowed, but I have no idea where the property line is. But I don't care. There's nothing over
Well,
there.
you do. It's you find the
I
the
don't.
telephone box thing.
Yeah.
And it's
wrong.
3 feet on either side of that.
Yeah, or the kid
Because that's in the
telephone
middle of the 6-foot easement.
Yeah,
Somewhere.
so you never
It
know.
was interesting. My neighbors just did a survey because they had never gotten one when they bought their house. And they didn't realize how much of the front yard was an easement.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I can show you. And I walked over to my front yard and I walked in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the easement is everywhere because there's sewers, there's pipe,
Right.
whatever. And he's like, I had no idea. I'm like, oh yeah.
So I'm in Farmington Hills, and they're installing so that the whole city goes wireless. So they're all this fiber optic cable. So they basically ran cable from one house to the next underneath your house. Really, it's going through like the middle of your front lawn.
Yeah.
So there must be an easement
Oh yeah.
that's covering that whole area.
Yep.
Yep.
It's kind of fascinating the way they do that. They dig a hole on one side of your property, and then they're able to kind of just
They
feed something
Push
through.
a tube.
How do they? That's because it's clay down there. How do they get through all that?
They've got
It's
these
the
new
same way they
machines that
put
do
the
that.
machine. They put in the sprinkler system.
Or sewers under roads, they can bore that.
Yeah. All right. So you get sued. What do you do?
Well,
What is the big
let's
problem?
talk about what most people do.
Yeah.
What most people do is they panic, and then they think if they don't react to it, it'll go away. And then
the ostrich defense.
Yeah, the ostrich defense. And then a judgment gets entered against them by default.
And then
Then
a
they call
judgment
me.
lien is recorded against their home, and then all of a sudden their bank might get garnished.
Their
or
paycheck
wages.
gets garnished. Yeah, it happens all the time.
So
Or the bank could call the loan because there's encumbrances on it too.
So what's the solution? What's the first solution that people need to know?
If you get served with
not
a
ignore
lawsuit, do not ignore it. In general, you have 21 days to file an answer if you're served in person, 28 days to file an answer if you're served in an alternative fashion, including by mail.
The big thing that happens, I see, I'm sure you see it all the time as well. The client will say they called the attorney for the bank or whoever, and he said they'd put us on a payment plan, but nothing ever happened, and now their wages are being garnished. And what it comes down to is you can't rely on that conversation. Even if you had the conversation, you can't rely on it unless you get something in writing that's protecting you. So you really need an attorney to talk to when you get sued.
The problem-
And the problem for people is they don't have money to pay the attorney.
Right. Well, that's
Right.
problem number one. The other problem is that a lot of these lawsuits are for small amounts. You're seeing medical debt suing for $1,000. You're seeing credit cards that are suing for $2,000 or $3,000, and so it becomes, unfortunately, too expensive to hire an attorney. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to do something and that you can't protect yourself. If you're being sued for $30,000, $20,000, you better get legal assistance. But you do have options whether or not the amount's small or large.
There's also another factor of why are you being sued? Is it that you forgot about the debt, you didn't know about the debt, or is there a financial problem? And it's the financial problem that often exists that I want to talk about after the break.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
So, how old should your grandsons be before they can spend their inheritance on their own?
Thanks, Grandma.
Yeah, thanks, Grandma. This car's awesome.
Thanks, Grandpa, we got 2.
35. You've worked hard your whole life to create a lasting legacy for your heirs. Let Samasco Law help you make the right decisions to protect the ones you love. Samasco Law, protecting what means most, because that's what we do.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so here's my point, is there are circumstances where you could get sued on a debt that you have no knowledge of. And that's one where you need to for sure take action, because you don't want them to take a judgment against you, because that then gets picked up by the credit reporting agencies, can hurt your credit score and your credit standing. But more often than not, there's financial issues.
I was going to say, back up for a second. When you're saying you're being sued, okay, which lawsuit do you defend and which lawsuit do you try and do something else with, right? That's really the question. If you don't owe the money, if it isn't you, because sometimes the wrong John Smith gets sued.
The wrong Brian Small.
Right. If you don't owe the money, you have to...
Wait. There's only one Brian Small. There may be another Ken Gross out there, but there's only one Brian Small.
Anyway, if you get sued and you have no legal obligation on the debt that you're aware of, you need to defend that lawsuit. Now, if you get sued by your credit card company because you haven't paid them, filing an answer and buying time to negotiate may be a strategy. Or filing bankruptcy may be a strategy. But at the end of the day, if you borrowed their money and you didn't pay them back, ultimately you will have a judgment entered against you, even if you file an answer and defend the suit.
Let me back it up a little bit further, because on a consumer debt, before you get sued, you will most likely have gotten a letter from a collection company demanding payment. And those letters all say you have 30 days to dispute the debt. What you need to do in that circumstance is dispute the debt and send the creditor, this is where nobody does it, you need to send the creditor a certified letter return receipt so that you have proof that you have disputed the debt. And if you send that to the creditor, they won't just file, they could file suit, but oftentimes they don't do anything in that circumstance when it's a small amount. But if you don't, they'll keep calling you, and then they'll turn it over and they'll sue. My favorite example was Chrysler Financial. Back in the 90s, I would always have my lease. And when my lease was over, no matter how pristine the car was, no matter how under mileage it was, when I turned in the lease, I got a bill from Chrysler Financial for somewhere between $600 and $800 for damage to the car because of some theory that there was a scratch bigger than a credit card. Whereas if you read the lease, there's nothing about measuring by a credit card. So what I would always do is automatically I would send a certified letter disputing the debt. And it wasn't just, you don't get to just, you think, oh, that's no big deal, you got to send one letter. No, you got to send like 20 letters, because they then pass it from collection company 1 to collection company 2, 3, and 4. They're all owned by the same finance company, but each time you get the letter, you have to send back the response. And I did that religiously. Never once did they sue. I got to the point where I'd have a few conversations with them, and I'd say to them, I'm not paying you a penny. Go ahead, file your lawsuit, because I don't buy the credit card measuring stick BS. But there's a difference. As a lawyer, I know what my remedies are, and I know how to do that. Lay people don't get that advantage. But if you're watching the show, when you get a collection letter, you need to dispute the debt. Say, I dispute the debt. I deny that I owe the money. The balance is incorrect if in all events, send it certified return receipt. That's a first step to minimize the chance of being sued. But now, you're sued.
Right.
You're saying we got to settle it, we got to deal with it, but what if it, would you say more often than not, on these small debts, the person has a greater financial issue?
Yeah.
Or is that hard to say?
No, you know what? No. Usually it is a greater financial issue because if you're looking at people don't just have $2,000 worth of credit card debt that they defaulted on that they're getting sued on. There's other credit cards out there. There's other debts out there. There's payday loans, and the cumulative cause of the default is that they borrowed $1 too much.
Are the payday loans still out there?
Oh yeah.
Or are they like expanding like right now?
It's
because the credit card
you're
debt's
supposed to
going up?
only be able to borrow, I think, 2 payday loans. But I'll tell you something. You can borrow. There's these Iroquois loans out west. I have people walking in with 10, 20 payday loans. They don't call them payday loans anymore, but they're all the same thing.
Are they taking ACHs right out of your account?
They do. And if you default instantly, they're suing you. It's really kind of crazy.
How about, do you guys get a ton of texts and calls? I'm finding my robocalls are going out the roof. I'm getting calls 5 a day for my loans have been approved for $50,000 on a business loan.
Oh, I get those every day. I
Push 9 and they won't call you back, and 48 seconds later they call you again, another company calls you.
I get an email every morning for at least 2 or 3 of them saying
I don't mind
your
the
commercial
emails,
loan's been approved.
But when my cell phone goes off, that's an extreme nuisance.
text
You're working,
messages.
the text messages.
I get a bunch of those. I also get ones that say, "Hi, what are we doing tonight?" which cause me other problems in my personal life because it's like I don't know who this person is.
I get 3-4 of those a day.
It's like, hey, it's been a long time.
Hey, I'm in town. You want to get together?
Well, you shouldn't answer.
No, you
never
never answer.
You know, I mean, my process is, go into block caller and then delete and report.
It doesn't do anything though. Putting by, I don't.
No, it doesn't do
If I
anything.
don't get that number again.
You can. What my wife did is she has it on her phone that if you're not in her contact list, it's automatically blocked. But yeah, we can't do that because clients call that aren't in my contact list, or new clients call.
Right.
It's a horrible problem. Let's take a break. Go back to being sued.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If your daughter passes away before you, do you want her share to go to her kids, or do you want to go to your new son-in-law?
You didn't have to buy me a Ferrari.
Don't worry, baby. There's plenty more where that came from.
The kids. You've worked hard your whole life to create a lasting legacy for your heirs. Let Samasco Law help you make the right decisions to protect the ones you love. Samasco Law, protecting what means most, because that's what we do.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. I want to announce THAV GROSS has opened a new office downriver in the Horizon building on Eureka Road. So now we're in Flint, downriver, and also our home office in Bingham Farms. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. You can do it by Zoom conference, in the office, any way that works best for you. Just call 888-235-HELP or go to the website thavgross.com to sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat or Kelsey, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Again, sign up at lawandreality.com or thavgross.com or just call 888-235-HELP. Also, if you go to the website, you'll see there's free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by Jeff Linden and myself. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian Small. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure. Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And The Retiree's Guide to Social Security by Pat Samasco. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Samasco Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so you're being sued. Other suits. Well, we talked about property line disputes. I just want to throw in a few other ones. Business divorce, business debt, probate proceedings.
Yep.
All these things. You know, you get a notice about a probate proceeding. Of a proceeding going on, and you're a qualified beneficiary. You're listed there. If you don't inquire as to what's happening, then you won't know whether you were entitled to something and whether you are able to get it or not get it. You need to inquire.
You also have to object
Right.
if you think something's
It's
wrong.
going wrong.
Right. You may find yourself with a consequence that you're not happy with.
So at a minimum on the probate side, there'll be a hearing date.
Right.
Show up.
Yeah.
Even if you can't afford an attorney at that point, or you don't know what it's at, show up, and then if you sense what's going on, tell the judge, I'd like an opportunity to object, Your Honor, and to hire an attorney. The judge will allow you that.
Judges want to be fair,
Yeah.
but if they don't know that something's amiss, something's going wrong, then they're just going to push it through.
Yeah, and if you show up like the following week saying, I didn't come to the hearing, you're not going to get the level of cooperation from the judge that you get when you show up on a date and time.
I'll tell you one that I get a lot. The phone call is, there's a judgment against me. I never got served. I have no idea.
They may be correct.
And they say, what can I do? And I always start with, do you owe the debt? Because
that's a
You
big.
have to have
it
a
is
viable defense.
You have, in order
And
to.
it has to be within 6 months.
If you have a judgment
Year.
against you,
Or a year.
Yeah.
it's a year, and you didn't know that somebody sued you because you moved and didn't provide a forwarding address. That happens a lot, and they serve you by mail at your last known address. Well, at the end of the day, if you don't have a legal defense to set it aside, you're likely not going to be able to overturn that judgment.
Although there's always one defense. Even when you're sued on a credit card debt, there's the defense that you can allege that the amount is incorrect. I owed the money, but I didn't owe that much money. And that was my financial crisis defense.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know when you send in the payment on Monday and it arrived on Wednesday, but it didn't post to your account until the following Thursday, 8 days later, and you got charged for all that extra interest for those 8 days on that $49 payment? How do you know that it's correct? I actually got to argue that in front of a judge one time, and he just had the biggest smile on his face and said, I guess you really, he went back to the creditors council and said, how can you be sure that the amount's correct?
Right.
So then he said, go outside, and we settled the case.
One thing about what Brian was saying, though, is your ability to defend those types of lawsuits after a judgment is different if you've actually never been served versus if you were served and you just didn't respond.
Then you're in big trouble.
Because there are things that you can do, like your defense, if you haven't actually been served. And that happens a lot. But the other thing is, like, if you got served by mail, to the last known address, right? And you didn't update your address, if you're hiding because you're not telling the people you have contractual relationships with where to find you.
Service on you, too.
Yeah, which could be in the newspaper or things like that. But I'm saying you ostriching, as we called it, doesn't work.
Nope. No, but be aware though that a lot of people will be said that you'll see a proof of service says I served so and so in person on this date, and I've had people go, I can prove that I was in Canada at the time.
Right.
Well, there have been a number of cases, and I think there was actually recently a prosecution, I don't know whatever happened to it, against a collection firm that was pretty much caught red-handed falsifying proofs of service and taking judgments.
Yeah, they call it gutter service.
Yep, gutter service.
Yeah. So those are bad things. But the biggest message here is that if you're served legal papers, you need to take action. And it's not just a lawsuit. You get a letter from IRS. Okay? You don't just take the letter. What do you want to do? You want to take the letter, throw it out, and pretend you never happened and that the problem doesn't exist.
Yeah, then you're going to get another letter.
And then you want to get rid of that letter too.
Then you're going to get another letter.
Then you get the certified letter.
Yeah, and then eventually, all of a sudden, they're garnishing your wages, or you won the lottery in the state lottery, and you're supposed to get a check for $2,000, and you get a letter again saying $2,000 for you. You need to take action. You need to reach out to the creditor. You probably need an attorney. If you have a debt problem giving rise to those issues, for sure, an attorney that specializes in a financial crisis can help you, because there's a bigger problem. Remember, the 3-point retirement plan. You want the big picture. You want to own your own home, have zero debt, have some cash in the bank when it comes to retire. You're not going to get there if you're fighting debt your whole life. You need to get on top of the problem. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.